Hey there, welcome to our Kundalini practice today. We're going to be building on what we talked about last week with savoring as we explore some of the components of positive psychology that we really already integrate into our yoga practice. We're just shining a brighter light on them to have more of an understanding of how we can strengthen these skills, not just on our mat, but as something that we take out into the day with us. And as we looked at savoring last week, of slowing down to notice a positive experience that you have in your life, we add on this next step of gratitude. And it's simply the expression of thankfulness. So if you pause and you're noticing something good, whether you're eating something really delicious or you're standing outside and there's a beautiful sunset, it's taking that moment to slow down, to soak in that positive experience while it's there, and then to add on that experience of expressing thankfulness. And I think of it like you are offering that toward nature, the universe, God, whatever you know to be beyond yourself. It's extending that expression of thankfulness for that experience, for that moment. And as we go into this exploration of gratitude within our practice today, within our physical practice, we think about this in terms of our relationship with the body, because the brain will, of course, notice the things that don't feel good, that feel tight, that need attention, of course. And we get to practice one of my favorite brain patterns, which is the yes and. Yes, my back is a little tight today. I see that. I'm going to take care of it. And there are other parts of my body that feel okay or even feel good. And sometimes we lose that pattern of extending out to notice what else exists outside of the discomfort within the body. So using our practice as this space of experimentation to create that expanded awareness. Also noticing what feels good, what feels strong, what is moving well, and letting yourself be thankful for that experience. It is about creating a new pattern in the brain. And this is so much about what Kundalini yoga is incredibly good at, creating new patterns and putting energy and growth behind those patterns. So the pattern of being pulled toward the problems and wanting to chew on that and try to solve it is a really common thing with the brain. And it exists for a reason, it's protective. But in order to really enjoy and notice the good things in life as well, we have these processes to strengthen those patterns, those habits of thinking that move toward also noticing the good stuff that's there. So it takes a bit more effort. You have to kind of push the brain to do those things, and that's why we do practices. This is our space to strengthen those new patterns. So that is the work we will be doing on our mat today. Let's start to rub the hands, gather your attention, pull yourself to land right here in your practice. Feeling a couple breath cycles, getting a little bit bigger and more expansive as we move toward our opening mantra, that use of breath and vibration, that connection to support. Pull the hands to the heart, big deep breath, Adi mantra. Om Namo Guru Dev Namo. Om Namo Guru Dev Dev. Namo. Sit for a moment, soak that in. It's that transition point from your regular functioning as a person to this space where you really get to listen, to connect with yourself, and to put energy towards strengthening healthy, supportive patterns. That is what we are here to do. All right. We will come down onto the mat. We'll start with a bit of contact with the ground, with nurturing support, which can feel so nice. And even just this time that you've carved out to move and connect with yourself. Because you made it here, and we all know, everyone who practices yoga knows the hardest part is getting to your mat, letting go of all the other things, carving out that time, and getting to your mat. So we'll start by landing here and creating that internal feedback loop toward yourself of like, good job. You put your to-do list down for a moment and recognize how important your practice is, and see what kind of expression of gratitude toward yourself feels right. Okay, go ahead and pull your knees into the chest. Feel that space as the low back goes toward the floor. You might choose to just sink and feel that pull of gravity, or you might rock from side to side. You are here in your practice, in this golden chain that I am so deeply grateful for. These teachings that we get to use to find support in the complex, fast-paced, moving world. We get to use these teachings to really slow down and connect. Okay, so our opening movement is about repatterning, because this is what we're working on with the brain. Pulling from some of the habitual thought patterns and intentionally steering toward what is good. What can I be thankful for here? And the way we repattern with the body is this interesting diagonal movement for the brain. We're going to take opposite leg and opposite arm and lift them up. I'm just going to start with a bent knee. And then you switch to the other side. We call this a cross crawl. This is a nice little brain exercise. As you start to sync up your opposite sides, you're giving some interesting input to the two different halves of the brain, kind of getting them to communicate with each other nicely. And you might even choose to stretch your legs out and then pull a knee towards your chest or a straight leg up. Starting to sync your breath, kind of seeing what feels supportive. Maybe inhaling, lifting, exhaling, lowering. And let your body tell you the pace, how quick or how slow. As we work through the last little bit of this brain training movement, we can think about how incredibly dynamic the brain is and how we maintain the ability to form new pathways right up until the very end of our life. We are always able to retrain the brain. It is a learning machine. Quite a miraculous thing. Okay, last couple movements. Really work out anything else that you need in this space. And then we're going to bring everything together by pulling both legs up into the chest, stretching arms and legs up to the ceiling. Give a good reach through the fingers and the toes with effort. Big inhale, hold the breath in, reach. As you exhale, give a little shake to the hands and the feet, the arms and the legs. We can start to pull energy and support away from the old patterns that are not helpful. Shake some of that off. We start to feed and strengthen the healthy patterns. Go ahead and bring the knees into the chest. Same choice, you can be still and you can sink into the earth, or you might roll side to side gently. My brain is a learning machine. It is always capable of learning new habits and new patterns. Okay, so while we are down here, nice and close to the support of the floor, we're going to plug into that solar plexus power, that core strength, with a bit of leg movement. You might take your arms right next to the sides of the body, and the knees are in to start. And we're just going to straighten one leg out and pull it in. This is a very powerful movement, like a piston, push and pull. Just play a little bit with the angle. If you go higher up toward the ceiling, a little bit less physical effort from the core. If you go lower, really into gravity toward the floor, quite a bit more of that effort. So see where that spot is that you feel like is just enough challenge without strain. And we'll start to charge up that movement with a powerful breath. Inhale left, exhale right. And the thought pattern that we are feeding this energy into is the idea that you deserve to notice the good in your life. You deserve to feel that resource and that connection. Because how often are we just distracted by other things, or we're kind of stuck on the problems and we get tunnel vision. And even though those good things exist, we don't notice them. So this process is saying, I can put time, effort, and energy toward noticing the good things that already exist in my life. That is something that I deserve. If you feel like there's any resistance to that, because sometimes some of those little inner gremlins might be coming up like, oh, no, I don't work hard enough, or, I need to do more, get more, and then I'll be able to enjoy the good. So some of those are the resistance patterns that might be bubbling up and meeting this experience. So if that happens, notice it's there, like, oh, resistance. Okay, interesting. I see that pattern of resistance. Let me feed what I'm trying to build. All right, pull the knees into the chest, and we'll stretch the arms and legs up one more time. Big reach up toward the ceiling. Spread your fingers and toes really wide. Lots of effort. Inhale, hold. Let it go, shake it out. That resistance that comes up, that's old patterning, old thought habits that you've probably absorbed from somebody else in your family lineage. You do not have to keep those. You can put them down. Hug the knees in. Go ahead and take a slow roll toward the side. And we'll push up to sit. All right, get a nice tall seat. I'm going to roll my blanket underneath. So sometimes with these movements, I'll sit on a block, but sometimes it's nice to kind of bunch the blanket to cradle the pelvis and get the spine tall. And it feels like you're still close to the earth and supported, but you have a bit of that space in the low belly and low back. Bring awareness to the heart. And if you'd like, you can even place the hand there for a moment. This is the space that we're going to lead the next movement from. There's a sense of warmth and that connection to kindness, to goodness. So there's almost this sense of the heart being open to notice, open to absorb. So when those little things come up that you can savor and that you can express thankfulness for, you have the awareness to notice that they are there. Okay, we'll bring the hands to the knees or the fronts of the shins, and we'll work into the spine flex. Inhale, expand the front body. Exhale, expand into the back body. Couple slow and steady, really work into the physical layer of the movement. As the physical body starts to get kind of warmed up and connected to the experience, then you really start to move deeper and tap into that energetic layer. What do I need to do in this movement to really feed that heart space? Feel that connection with breath. That is our plug into the energetic experience of being human, of refreshing our connection with vitality over and over. How does that feed this movement? Watching how the body adapts, if it wants the movement to change, to expand. Getting more and more connected into the breath. Last couple, feeling that movement span of the heart forward and back. Easy, expansive glide. it down. Find your center point. Take an inhale. Lift up through the center of the spine. Inhale, expand the lungs around the heart like it's hugging the heart. Hold that breath. Soak it in. Exhale. Shed that effort. Plug yourself down into the earth. Okay, we're going to move into a position of tabletop, of all fours. And another movement pattern of kind of tracking the heart. But we're creating a circular movement forward and back with a bit more freedom of space here. So we start from hands and knees, and we're going to shift out toward the belly and find a back bend. So you might be up dog with straight arms, it might be cobra, or kind of anything in between there. And then we reach the hips back, kind of toward a puppy pose, melting the heart down toward the earth. Inhale, rolling up into your back bend, expansive heart. Exhale, rolling back, melting heart toward the earth. Really balancing movement here, both opening and softening around that heart space. When we get really rigid and goal-oriented, we're kind of charging forward, trying to solve problems in our life. Those are the spaces where we start missing the beauty, the little spaces of enjoyment that exist. Working through and inviting a little bit more softness into your movement. There might be a rounder edge, a more fluid rolling. Letting go of that need to charge forward and solve the problem. Kind of seeing that old process of enjoying the journey, noticing what there is in that journey, to pause, to slow down and soak in, and to express that thankfulness. Last couple of breaths here. Really savor and soak in this movement pattern. The next time that you work your way back, go ahead and nestle nice and close to the floor, like you're wiggling down into that supportive child's pose. We will experience a moment of stillness and awareness. That connection to gratitude can be as simple as offering the words, thank you. Just in a a general expansive way to the universe. That really deep, heartfelt thank you. Okay, we'll come up towards sitting and swing the legs around to the front to come into something sort of straight leg-ish. We don't, of course, have to be completely straight. A little bend in the knees will give you some space. Lift up through your spine. Take an inhale up through the spine to feel that lengthening. Maybe a little wiggle. If you feel resistance somewhere, give that a little wiggle. And we're going to move into the life nerve stretch. You might wrap around the big toes if they feel accessible at this moment, but if not, hands can slide up and down the legs. It's a really nice sensory input that we can feel, that self-supportive touch. Inhale, really tall spine, keep the heart lifted and radiant. As you exhale, it's a hinge to reach forward. Inhale, lengthen right up to the crown. Exhale, sink forward. Using this movement pattern as a vehicle to connect with some of those really sweet, really deep moments of simple enjoyment. It's a lot about what brings the richness of life. It's not necessarily the big shiny moments. Of course, those are wonderful. But the little moments that you get to savor, the little moments that you get to soak in and notice when you're paying attention, how much depth that creates. I kind of think about this movement as the lifting to notice, like you have this open awareness, and then the diving in, noticing what is there, all the richness and complexity, and then dive into it. Okay, last couple breaths here. Working out whatever you need from these last few movements and breaths. And then your closing for this movement is to roll forward, to find whatever supportive position lets you sink forward into gravity and move toward your legs, maybe holding the feet or the ankles. Giving a bit of softness toward gravity. Okay, we'll inhale, come up to sit. So it might be a cross-legged sit, or you might sit on the feet into rock pose. Either one will do. And we're going to do 2 seated, really 3 seated in a row. So you can see what's going to work for you. All right, here we are. Really working through this practice. I just think of it like if the heart center was a lighthouse and there was just this beam of light opening out, and it was this scanning for things to be thankful for things to notice, and then offer that phrase, that deep, heartfelt phrase of thank you to the universe. So for this movement, we're going to perhaps bring the fingers together and interlace them behind the head, if that works for your shoulders. If not, you can clasp hands over top of the shoulders, or you might come down to the hips. But the important part of the movement, the core of the movement, is at the heart, and the heart is twisting from side to side, very much like this lighthouse, this beam of energy coming from the heart to scan and notice what is here that I can express that thankfulness to the universe. You start to feel that movement through the body. Let your physical layer create a relationship with it and let you know if anything needs to change. Working into that connection of breath and body. Inhaling left, exhaling right. I'm going to switch my legs. There we go. Little by little, working on that ease around the heart. And that's no easy thing because our upper backs can be really tight. We can hold a lot of stuff, especially around the back of the heart. There can be some congestion and stiffness that lands there. So the movement is inviting that softness and ease without forcing. Where can I soften? Where can I find ease of physical movement and energetic movement? Last couple movements here. Find center, pause, lift, expand. Inhale, hold. Feel the lungs hugging around the heart. Let that go, drop the arms down. So this closing sequence is a lot about rotation and kind of dynamic movement around the heart. I always talk about the washing machine, like we're trying to agitate this space so the things that are stuck and heavy in that space get to break up and move away so that they're not holding and, keeping things stuck. So this next movement is kind of the keystone, right? I like to talk about the keystone of the practice that we warm up to move into, and then we arrive here at the pinnacle of what pattern we're trying to reinforce. So the movement here is a reach with an open hand, and the opposite hand pulls back into a fist. So a reach and pull with this dynamic twist through the rib cage. This can be such a fun movement. But we add a mantra to it. And it's the very important mantra of going with the flow of life. Being, not just going with, but being in the flow of life. And it is sa, ta, na, ma. 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 Have a little fun with the movement, with the mantra. See if you can peel back some of that, preconceived notions about how this should look, and let your body create that expression of movement that feels joyful. Sa, ta, na, ma. 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 Last couple, really let it go. Just let it happen. Sa, ta, na, ma. Sa, ta, na, ma. Being fully absorbed in that experience of life. Sa, ta, na, ma. Sa, ta, na, ma. Slow it down. Hands fold over the heart, head bows. What does it feel like to go through that process of getting into the flow of life? Noticing what you can express that gratitude to the universe for. So we close this physical piece of the practice with a seated pose to kind of seal that connection with the heart. We're going to come around to sitting with the legs stretched out, and we'll pull the right knee back. Okay, so the left arm is going to reach down the leg, perhaps toward the foot if you can reach, don't force it. The other hand is going to come either onto the hip or it might snake behind the back. But the idea is a little bit of rotation to open this space of the heart. And we hold and we lift. We take a long, slow, deep breath to feed into the heart. Let me notice what there is to be thankful for. Let me have that open awareness so that the small, wonderful moments of life don't pass me by. Let me notice them. Okay, we'll switch over to the other side. Tucking the opposite knee in, finding that reach, and seeing how this shoulder feels. Maybe it just rests on the hip, or maybe it goes behind the back. Wherever you are, it's that space of opening across the heart, reinforcing the internal pattern that you were strengthening today. In therapy, we call this hitting the save button. Whatever new pattern or new habit we're working on, we then hit the save button so that it's not something that just exists on our mat, but it goes with us out into our day. We use breath to reinforce that energetic pattern. I can notice what's good. I can express that gratefulness, that ability to be thankful. Okay, let's make our way down to the mat. It is just starting to rain, which I am quite thankful for, as we end a drought, hopefully in Florida. We'll come down and find this position that you can very gently arrange your body to feel support. We soak it in. all the things that your practice brings to you, all the things that your practice today helped you to feel connected to, you soak it in so that it stays with you, goes with you into the rest of your life. Let me notice those tiny good moments, and let me offer out that experience of thank you. Thank you for this. We'll start to gather the awareness toward the breath. And create this pattern of watching and noticing that nourishment, that cycle of nourishment that the breath is always creating. And then meeting that with that expression of thank you. Thank you for this support. Feeling the physical body resting against the floor. This container that we have that allows us to exist and have experiences in this world. And there is no requirement for our body to be perfect, for it to work perfectly, or to be without challenges. Even with all those layers of complexity that come with being the owner of a human body, we can express that thankfulness for this container. All of the things that it lets us do, the experiences that we've been able to have. And for this practice, for the experience and the connection to this huge body of wisdom and support that is yoga, is offering out that radiant experience of thank you. Now we'll start to bring movement back in when you're ready to stretch. The knees might start to come up toward the chest, and you might be really still there, or you might rock. then you can decide if you want to roll toward the side and come up to sit, or if you'd like to rock up and down on the spine a couple times. And then all together we'll find our seated resting position. This is that little space that makes Kundalini very special. This is the yoga of awareness, of deep noticing. After your practice, how do you feel? And we start to reinforce this pattern within the brain of slow down, notice, savor, and express thankfulness. We'll close our formal practice, bringing the hands into the heart, using our voice to create the long sound of Satnam. Sat Nam. Satnam. Thank you for being here, for practicing yoga with me, for allowing me to be your teacher. And now we go out and we take this pattern that we have practiced and strengthened right here on our mat, and we go out into the world to see where are those just quick little opportunities to slow down, to savor, and to offer thankfulness.